Venters, we've been talking a lot lately about female teachers that have been doing inappropriate things, but today I want to share a story out of Phoenix, Arizona at Wilson Elementary School. Apparently about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, a 52-year-old substitute named Curt Hinton didn't know how to contact another teacher or a hall monitor or somebody to come in and watch his class. And because he didn't know how to communicate with another teacher to watch his class, instead of going to the restroom like most normal teachers would, he actually unzipped his pants at his desk, flopped out his stuff, and actually peed in a can. And you might think, okay, well, at least he was behind the desk and hopefully nobody noticed. Well, guys, if nobody noticed, would your boy Jesse be talking about this today? Of course not. Apparently a 12-year-old student, a boy, and 3 11-year-old girls not only heard him zip, but they also heard him pee into the can. Apparently Phoenix police officers were called out, and he actually admitted to doing it, said it was probably a poor choice of judgment, but he said that because he was so new to the school, he didn't know how to contact anybody to watch his class. And it just blew me away, because I'm thinking to myself, I don't care if it was my first day at school, I would either ask one of the students to kind of keep an eye on things while I went to the restroom, or I would simply tell all the students, be on your best behavior, I'm going to go to the restroom real quick, knowing that even if they're not, who cares? You got to go to the restroom. I'm 48, and for the last, I don't know, probably 3, 4, 5 years, I've had a situation where when I have to go, I have to go. I think that happens to a lot of us guys as we get older, and I think it's always been that way for girls, right? Some of us can hold the urination sensation for a long time. Some of us can't. And then, of course, like I said, there's that other group of us that we used to be able to, but as we get older, it becomes more and more challenging. So have I ever been in a situation like him where I had to pee in a can? Well, there was one time I was coming home from a casino and I peed into an empty Thirst Buster cup. You guys remember Thirst Busters from Circle K? Anyway, I filled this bad boy up. I had to go so bad. I put the lid back on it, kept it in the cup holder, and then I forgot about it. The next day, my wife is in the backyard talking to one of her girlfriends on the phone, and she asks my son Kobe, she says, Kobe, go out to mom's car and bring her her drink that's in the cup holder. So he goes out there, grabs the drink, but apparently both cup holders had Thirst Busters in it. The difference is apparently hers was brand new from Circle K or 7-Eleven, wherever she bought it. And then the other one was obviously mine, where I took a piss. And forgive me, but when you're coming home from the casino at night, you know, it was like midnight 1, you can't really stop at a Taco Bell or anything. So I just kind of waited till I was at a red light and took a piss in the cup. Because I'm a guy and we can manage it. You girls can't. That's why you don't do those sort of things. Anyway, all of a sudden, I'm in the backyard with my wife. She reaches over, drinks out of her Thirst Buster, and I'm not thinking anything of it. All of a sudden, she like hurls the water. She just instantly looks to the side and spits it out. And all of a sudden, it hit me, oh my God. She just drank from the Thirst Buster that I relieved myself in last night. And it was the funniest thing. Now here's the really funny thing, if that's even funny to you. If you're a normal person, that's probably not very funny, but this is kind of funny. Not only did that happen one time, but that exact, and I mean literally exact same scenario happened again a couple of years later. Same scenario. I was coming home late from a poker game at Fort McDowell Casino. Got that same red light sensation, grabbed an empty Thirst Buster, let her go, and she ended up somehow drinking a little of that too. Very gross, not something I'm proud of, but in a weird cosmic way, she actually had it coming to her. So I'm going to tell you a funny thing that she did that happened to me. About 2 or 3 years earlier, maybe it was 5 years earlier, it was in the early 2000s, her and I were living at this apartment complex not too far from here, 7th Street and Greenway, if you guys want to Google it. Anyway, we're living there. It's this giant apartment complex. It's such a neat complex because they give everybody their own little backyard with a fence. Is it a major backyard? No. The tiniest backyard you can imagine, but a backyard with a fence nonetheless. But when I say fence, picture a 4.5 foot tall fence. So if someone's walking by, they can easily see you if you're sitting down and, you're in your back porch area. So picture that, if you will. We had a little miniature pinscher named Piglet at the time. And this dog was so cute, and if you've ever had or seen a miniature pinscher, you know they are so tiny, right? I really get excited when I tell this story because I'm the fool in this story, but it's still funny as hell. So anyway, this dog would go out to use the restroom in our little backyard. But the dog started getting scared because there were these giant cats. They almost looked like Maine Coons, but they were regular cats that just got enormously big to the point where they dwarfed my little miniature pinscher Piglet. Isn't that name just cute? Piglet, from Winnie the Pooh. Anyway, one day I'm at work. My Uncle David comes to visit, and he's thinking that I'm going to be there, but I was at work. So anyway, he knocks on the door. My wife lets him in, and he basically says, "Hey, Liz, is it okay with you if I use your restroom?" So he goes into the restroom, right? And I think she was thinking he was just going to take a piss. Apparently he had to take a crap, so he was in there for a couple of minutes. Apparently while he was in there, she had to go to the restroom real bad. Let's cliffhanger that. I come home, right? I look in the backyard and I see that, hey, Piglet's got quite a few turds back there. It's about time that I pick up these turds, right? So I go in the backyard, I start picking up these turds, and all of a sudden, I look in the corner, and there is just this ginormous crap. This thing looks like a bear took a shit in our backyard. And I was just disgusted because the number one thought that came to me is, this is not from my dog. This is from one of those damn huge cats. Picture how big these cats had to be for me to consider this crap coming from them, right? So anyway, I get this giant bag and I'm picking up this crap. A couple of years later, my wife is talking to me and she goes, "Do you remember that time that you picked up that giant cat shit from the backyard?" And I start laughing because I'm like, that was the biggest turd ever. Anyway, she ends up admitting to me that what happened was my Uncle David came over, ended up clogging up the bathroom for 5 or 10 minutes. He didn't literally clog it up. He was just in there for an extended period of time. She ends up having to go take a crap the same time my Uncle David was in the bathroom. I'm already starting to laugh because I'm still not pasting 1 and 1 together, right? Or 2 and 2 together. Anyway, she proceeds to tell me that because... Hey, how's it going? Good, thank you. She proceeds to tell me that because she had to go so badly, she sneaks into our backyard. And when I say sneak, I mean sneak, because keep in mind, guys, this fence is only 4.5 feet tall. So she's against the fence, kneeling down, crapping, hoping that not only do the neighbors not see her, but she's also hoping that my Uncle David doesn't come out of the bathroom and see this woman shitting in the backyard. Pretty comical. But anyway, the gross thing is it ended up being her taking a crap and me going in the backyard picking up this human-sized crap. And even for a human, it looked like it came from a bear. It was the most disgusting thing ever. So basically, I ended up picking up her poop, but when she told me that story, it was hilarious because, guys, These apartments, some of them are actually lofted apartments where they actually have a second story. Where we were positioned in this apartment complex, neighbors could have easily seen her from the second story window. And just imagine if you were in one of those windows looking down and all of a sudden you're like, hey, Patty, come look at this. One of our neighbors is taking a turd in her backyard. I know some of you you've already signed off without hitting the thumbs up button, but I just thought you guys would find those stories funny. So even though I didn't pee as a substitute teacher in an elementary like this guy did, I still kind of know what it's like to have these weird situations. Do I think this guy is a total creep? The book is out on that. It's not like he was doing something gross other than urinating. The problem I have with it is you could have easily just said, guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the restroom. So really, really awkward and weird. I think as we get older, we kind of come across these stories and they make us chuckle. But at the same time, imagine you're one of these 11-year-old girls. You got this crazy looking middle-aged teacher urinating. By the way, that teacher is a 20-year veteran of the US military. He didn't try hiding it or denying it. One of the things that I like in this world is when people can kind of not take a mulligan. Count that stroke against yourself. Take the L. Admit you were wrong. And at least that's one thing that Curt Hinton did. He admitted he was wrong. So here's my question to you, Venters. What should happen to him? Do you think he should get in a lot of trouble? Do you think maybe they should take away his substitute license so he can't teach anymore? Do you think maybe they should give him a fine and forgive him? I don't necessarily think there's a right or wrong answer, but I do think if you heard the story, you wouldn't walk away thinking this is a pervert. You would just walk away thinking, God, this guy really made a stupid choice, you know? I don't know why he would do that at all. So now he's potentially facing 4 counts of indecent exposure. But what he was trying to say is, hey, they might have heard something, but they didn't see anything. I was behind my desk, and, you know, what makes a person even go that route? And by the way, what do you guys think of the story I shared? Do you think it's worse that I peed in a cup and my wife ended up drinking it, or that she shit in the backyard and I ended up picking it up thinking it was one of the dogs or the cats in the neighborhood, right? Both of them pretty gross, but at the same time, they happened so long ago I can kind of chuckle and laugh about them now. I think they're pretty funny. What do you guys think? At Diana McClendon says he, talking about Curt Hinton, the 52-year-old substitute teacher, he could have told the class that he's about to step out for a minute and went to the restroom. This is awful. See, I guess that's the weird thing. What type of class was it? If it's a class full of rambunctious kids that are just going to totally destroy everything while you're away for a minute or two, that's one thing. But if you're a substitute teacher, who cares if they destroy the room? It's going to be on them. You have a right as a human being to use the restroom. In case you're wondering, he was a 6th grade English teacher. It's funny, when I'm looking for teachers, there's a few that are science teachers, there's a few that are math teachers, all the other teachers that are afraid of science and math, English teachers. They all can teach English. No one can speak it or write it very well, but they can all teach it. At Roller Coaster Tycoon says he'll get more time than the women groomers. So when I started the walk, I was telling you how lately we've been talking about a lot of female teachers. I think this is bad. I think there is a little element of indecent exposure, but I don't think I would be too upset if they just stripped him of his substitute license. I don't know if they necessarily need to give him some sort of hardcore punishment for this, but I would love to know what you guys think of it. I think it's just a weird situation. I've actually had situations where I had this one classmate in junior high. Now, he wasn't in the class I was in, but the rumor was that when the teacher turned off the movie, I guess he was kind of pleasuring himself in the classroom. And I remember, because I went to school with him for like 5 or 6 years afterwards, and I remember thinking, my God, how does he go through school every day knowing that every time someone looks at him, they think of this thing he got caught doing, you know, in a 7th grade, you know, class. I don't even know what class it was, but apparently they were watching a movie. When they turned off the movie, he was really going at himself. Okay, this next person is probably a person that thinks a lot like you and me. You'll know what I mean when I say this. This guy's name is @Bun&Cheese, which I like for some reason, even though it seems a little gross. It says, @Bun&Cheese says, so when did he get a chance to wash those nasty hands? See, that's the thing that's so gross about it. If he's touching himself to take a piss and he shakes it at the end like guys famously do, he's probably gonna get a couple drops of pee-pee on his hands. And then you know what people do? They lick their fingers as they separate papers and hand them out. God, us human beings are really gross. I'm one of these guys that I like to wash my hands religiously. I just wish other people would wash their hands semi-religiously. This guy is probably okay without washing his hands, which is probably the biggest thing that he did bad in my eyes. Don't you guys agree? Especially food handlers and stuff, it's like, can you wash your hands? And by the way, they keep those gloves on while they're mopping up stuff and touching everything in the world, and then they touch your food and it's like, yeah, their hands are avoiding the germs, but don't germs stick on those plastic gloves? I always wonder about that. I hate when I see them mopping with that dirty ass mop right before they're about to hand you your French fries and burger. Absolute grossest thing in the world. Hey, one of the things that we should have talked about over this past week, because it's super interesting, but we didn't get a chance to, is Klarna. Klarna allows you to pay for your Grubhub and DoorDash. Did you guys hear about this? Now when you buy that $25 burger that probably should only cost you $10, but to give it delivered, you got to pay $25 with your tip, right? Now you can get that cut into 4 easy to pay installments. I think that goes to show you how backwards our country is starting to become. Could you imagine literally financing today's hamburger that you bought? That's happening. And not only is it happening once or twice, I'd be willing to bet that there's probably already a couple million people that have taken advantage of the payment plan. Is there a sickness there? Are we as human beings just immediately all going into debt? I think the answer is yes. I also think another answer on how we can get out of some of these problems is if people started taking daily walks and imagining these weird scenarios and finding an answer to some of these problems. That's why I love walking. We can dive into our think tank and we can start to come up with some solutions to things. I have a solution for you. Keep walking. Take an extra 20 or 30 minute extra credit walk today. Just like this guy, you know what would have helped him? If he would have just said, kids, I'll be right back. And if he would have taken a little walk to the restroom, none of this would have happened. I hope you guys come back tomorrow. We'll walk again together. Have a good night.